Welcome back, guys, to the Buffaloes Breakdown. I am one of your hosts, Jake, and I'm here with Ryland, your other host.
What's
And
up?
we're getting to the point where we're just going to start calling Jack a host almost. Jack's on a streak. I think Jack
You
is
can
on a roll.
you can call me the Alm host and just combine that, as in the almost
Yeah,
host. Nailed it.
yeah,
Great intro.
yeah.
I'm in it.
Today we're going to be talking about a lot of good stuff. We're going to be talking about the upcoming bowl game, obviously. I think that's why a lot of you guys are here. The more recent news we're going to talk about as well, the transfer portal and what kind of guys are coming in, who are our favorites, and what the outlook is for the Buffs. How worried are we, and who or what positions are we going to expect to see filled going forward? And what else, Rylan? There's something else on the docket. What is it?
Heisman?
Heisman. We're going to talk about Travis Hunter and the.
That one seems pretty
Mm,
important.
The worst
yeah,
PFF
no.
graded Heisman of all time. Is that who you're talking about? That guy?
Well, see, here's
Who?
the thing about Travis Hunter is you can't take an average of his two PFF scores. I think we just need to add them up. So in reality, he would be the highest PFF grade of all time.
Wait, is that what they did? I don't even know anything with that
Well,
campaign. I
they
don't even
almost
know what
No.
that
had to have.
is.
They almost had
Yeah.
to have, right? Because his receiver grade's like a 80 some, and his cornerback grade's like an 80 some. So, like, I don't know. I mean, yeah, like every other Heisman was probably a 90 some at their position. But if he's an 80 at, an 80 some at two different positions, then how do you grade
He's
that?
like high 80s. He's like at 87 and an 89.
We cannot meaningfully engage with my interruptions. We gotta go forward with the actual discourse. I'm sorry. That's on me. That one's on me.
I also
Okay.
I also can't talk about PFF because they are the worst. So, okay, well, yeah, I think we should start with the Heisman stuff. Honestly, I think that's probably the biggest news. That's also the most. We also missed that. We didn't have a pod last week, so we didn't have an opportunity to prep that or go into that at all. So, Travis Hunter wins the Heisman, Ryland. Obviously, you expected that, you wanted that, but any thoughts?
Yeah, it's a lot of I have a lot of thoughts. That there may or may not have been tears shed. That was really something. Thinking of where we were only 2 years ago, 1-11. No one wanted to be in this be a part of this program. We had no coach. It's felt like there was nothing we could do to fix this. And 24 months later, we have a Heisman Trophy in Boulder. That's a lot, just emotionally.
Hmm.
The best college football player in the country, once again, is a Colorado Buffalo. The Heisman is something of a pretty emotional thing, especially for Colorado fans when it comes to Rashawn Salam. So having another Heisman, definitely, and thinking of Rashawn and what he's meant to this fan base in Boulder. Um, it was a big emotional weekend for sure for I know a lot of Colorado fans. Yeah,
Jack, what do you got to say about the Heisman?
Yeah, I was not gonna watch it at all, and then I got so nervous that I had to turn it off and like call my friend. And as I was walking outside, I like listened through his TV, like on speaker. So I guess that's an emotional swing. But I also was walking to the gas station and I got fudge stripes, so double win. Like yeah, I also shed a tear for sure. I mean, it is a feel good award, and I felt good. They do a really good job of setting that stage. I think of celebrating. It was a celebration, right? And they did a good job of celebrating everyone that was in New York. Um, I think I yeah, I was incredibly nervous after Travis Hunter swept like everything else because it felt like they were setting themselves up for like we did successfully laud his accomplishments. Now let's give it to Genty, which is also just my doomer brain working overtime. So um, I'm glad that the guy I think should have won it did, and I'm also glad that he it was one of those times where I was just happy to graduate from CU because the guy that is gonna do the same thing was that guy. Like, it was just cool. That's the beautiful thing about college sports, right? Is like that guy goes to the same school that I went to, and it is an easy way for me to be connected and just proud that that happened. It was a really easy time to be proud. So if you're talking about Ryland's like 2-year arc, it was really easy not to be proud in 2022 of CU by the football team. This felt like a nice cap on like I can't remember the last time I was more like. It was easy for me to say that I graduated from CU, obviously, that night. And you go through his impact on the field and all this stuff in your head, and I can ask a question about that later, but, like, it was just cool to see him also just be completely raw. That's when I started crying, when he started crying about his dad, and, it was such a great representation of CU, and that's why I love college sports, is because I want to see CU represented, so, I don't know, it was great.
Right.
It was awesome. It was nerve-wracking for sure. As soon as Ashton Genty won the Maxwell, I was like, "Oh fuck, we might be in trouble." And the nerves, it did turn out, were very valid. It was I think second. It was the closest margin of victory since 2009, or was it 2005?
No, it's in 2009, which was
Okay.
Oh god, you're testing me. It was Mark Ingram and
Yep.
And Sue was third. I forgot who second was that year.
Oh well. We don't need to derail it. But I mean, the nerves were awesome. I know it's still, people are still fighting about this, which is ridiculous. Ashton Genty and Travis Hunter are both generationally fun college football players. We're not going to see anyone like Ashton Genty in a long time, and we'll probably never see anyone like Travis Hunter ever again. We still get to watch them play football more. Ashton Genty is in the college football playoffs, and Travis is probably, from all we know, is going to play in the Alamo Bowl. So we get more out of them in the college football landscape. It's just, there's nothing to be bitchy whiny about. It's like, it's over, it's done.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's all I had to say.
With the Vegas odds having Travis Hunter as favored as he was, were you guys surprised to see Genty get that many votes?
No.
You can't ask me. You know how far away I was from logic at the time, dude? I was so certain that they were going to take away, like, Salam's Heisman. That's how much Genty won. Like, they were going to be like, actually, you don't deserve the other one, too. Like, I was so full into doomer. It's not. Yeah. I think Vegas odds kept getting closer, but you're right. Like, tell us what we needed to know, I guess, beforehand, in my head. Yeah, you're right, Jake. Like, I shouldn't have been shocked that Hunter won, but still felt good, and I was still surprised.
Yeah, I honestly thought that Travis was going to win by more, which, just 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was saying I thought the race was really close, but in those last 2 games, like, Travis had, I mean, I can't remember the exact stats, but 3 touchdowns in one game, 1 or 2 in the other game, another pick to add to the resume. So, I thought Travis did everything he could to secure the Heisman.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting thing where if you look back, Travis Hunter was on 93% of ballots, which you're like, how is he off of 7% of ballots? But also, that's one of the highest percentages ever by a Heisman winner. And he got 80% of, or maybe even more, of like total points possible. So if you look back, that's actually pretty historically good for a first-place Heisman winner. Much higher than Jaden Daniels last year, much higher than Devontae Smith, much higher than Derrick Henry. Like, a lot of guys that we assume won pretty handily. Travis Hunter got more total points than all of them. I think it's an interesting race because Ashton Genty was it was so obviously a 2-person race that Ashton Genty was on more ballots than Travis Hunter was, and he got every single second-place point available if someone voted Travis Hunter first, right? So it looks really close, and it was a really close margin. But Travis Hunter also got so many points that he was recognized pretty much by voters as a really good player, and a really good Heisman winner historically. It's a weird situation where it's so concentrated that it looks really close, partially because it was really close points wise, but also Travis Hunter got more points than a lot of other people have in the 21st century. So like, just two-person race, right? That's all that means. I'll also say there's some discourse that I'm not that comfortable with from some Heisman voters, and also people just mad that Travis Hunter won. That I think there's real Boise State people disappointed that Ashton Jeanty didn't win, and I think that's fine. Like, you can be disappointed, totally. I don't think them arguing that their guy should have won is wrong, necessarily. I think there's also this weird, like, third-party discourse where people don't like Travis Hunter because they've decided they don't like Deion Sanders, and they're the same person. And, like, that shit is when I get, like, really weirded out. Because I don't know how... I think if Travis Hunter played for any other team in the country, a 4.0 student athlete who played 170 snaps a game and did some of the most crazy shit I've ever seen in a football field is universally celebrated. But there's this weird undercurrent of the fact that he plays for Deion Sanders that makes other people who would celebrate him otherwise spoil him now. And I don't understand that. Like, I don't get that.
Yeah.
And it's stupid.
Yeah, it is stupid.
It really is.
Yeah, there's a lot of theories about why that happened. I think people just don't like Deion Sanders for a few of them, and some of them I would consider pretty not okay. But like, I also just think that people can not like him, and I still think even if you don't like Deion Sanders, which is you have an opinion, right? You're gonna care about him one way or the other. You putting all that on Travis is just not like that's the part where I'm like, how can you not take the 1 second it takes to like look into who this person is, who's not like he is your model student athlete. That's exactly who you want to be a student athlete, right? Like even if you think Deion Sanders is loud and boisterous and arrogant and cocky and confident and doesn't treat people well, like none of that applies to Travis. Like the worst thing you can say about Travis is that he celebrates pretty hard, right? Is there anything else to say? I don't know. It's weird, man. That people are still mad about this for reasons that seem far beyond anything that Travis can control.
Travis is the nicest guy ever. He really is. Like all he wants to do is play football, Twitch stream in his onesies, and hang out with his girlfriend and fish. That's all he wants to do. That's all he cares about. That's all he wants to do. He's such an inherently likable guy. If you ask anybody in CU media or anybody just around Boulder who's had any interaction with him, nobody's going to have anything bad to say about him. Where they're like, oh, he was rude, oh, he was short. No one's going to say anything bad about Travis Hunter because he literally is just the nicest guy ever. And no one deserves this more than Travis Hunter. And it's so awesome that he is a Colorado Buffalo because he is just such an exemplary, not only football player, but human being that we get to call our own. And that's pretty awesome.
Right.
Well, my one question was something that I asked my friends when I was walking back from 7-Eleven with fudge stripes. What's your favorite Travis Hunter moment? You got 2 years of him as a Buff. What stands out as number one?
I'll let you go, Jake.
There's a lot of moments, and and this is separate. I did have an article last week what were Travis Hunter's top plays, but this is going to be separate from that. This play wasn't on that list. I want to say my favorite play was probably, gosh, and I don't exactly 100% remember what game it was. I'm pretty confident it was Baylor, but he had like a diving catch over the middle of the field against Baylor. Probably like a 30-yard pass from Shador, and Travis the whole way was looking up at the safety, back at the ball, up at the safety again, and then back at the ball, and then he made a diving catch. And this was just 2 plays after he took a huge shot from a safety on a 5 or 10-yard out route, where people thought he might be injured. For him to get up 2 plays later and to make a diving catch and have the kind of field awareness, like those 2 plays, I guess that 3-play span is really what sums up Travis Hunter to me. The ability to keep going, get back up after a big hit, to stay in the game, that level of conditioning. snap after snap, and that was the same game where he had his most important play of the year, where he knocked the ball out to win the game. So, I think that little stretch for me, was my favorite Travis moment, especially because honestly, I'd say going back about a year and a half, I had doubts. I had doubts about Travis playing both sides of the ball, and I think a lot of sane people would, especially offensively. You can tell he's a natural corner, but for his body to withstand those hits on offense, for him to stay in the game offensively, I like a lot of other people had doubts, and so for Travis Hunter to play as well as he did this season, especially on the offensive side of the ball, and play the pure volume that he did. Fantastic player, and that Baylor game is the best game I've ever seen from probably any college player ever.
I think my answer is probably the forced fumble against Baylor. That should be the play that wins. That should be the play that wins in the Heisman. That's his most spectacular play of the season. They're attacking him because they think he can't tackle, and he goes and he forces a fumble at the 1 yard line to win the game in overtime. That's amazing. You can't write a better script than that. My more fun answer, is going to be the pick against TCU. I can't even describe that TCU game even to this day. It doesn't feel real. And I think when Travis picked that ball off, the entire fan base felt this sense of freedom from hell and excitement that we didn't know was possible.
I think the entire country, when that pick happened, his first game as a Buff, right? I think the entire country got put on notice.
Yeah, my answer is the TCU pick, but I remember just being like, oh my God, we're back. Oh my God, the Buffaloes are back. And that was a pretty special feeling.
Yeah, I think those two. I mean, those are pretty common ones that came up when we were talking through it. I'll just rapid fire some ones that came up in our head that were kind of under the radar just because of when they happened. The 2 touchdowns that were called back against Utah that should not have been called back in 2023 were sent out to me because that was him winning a game that CU had no business winning, and then the refs decided that we didn't anyway. So those 2 sent out to me. There was a pick against UCLA, which that whole game was awful, but he had an incredible interception against UCLA. That came up too. The Cincinnati touchdown at the end of the half was pretty insane in terms of body control and adjusting to the ball. The catch against Utah this year, where it was 4th and 15, he just sunned everyone else for it. And then I guess the one that sticks out to me, Baylor's a religious game, a religious moment game of everything that had to go right did go right, and the rain's coming down. That is just a moment. I think to me this year there was one play that stood out, and it's because I was where I was, which was his last touchdown on Folsom Field, Oklahoma State. And how casual it was, how used to seeing this I got, which was the quarterback of the Colorado Buffaloes throwing a 50-yard dart to the best wide receiver in the country, who just they do everything. It was just so casual, right? It was one-on-one, we have this, no problem. And he adjusted the ball perfectly, light hands, little shove at the elbow so no one can call it, and got the perfect touchdown. That was the last touchdown together in Folsom. And it was right on top of me where I sit in the stadium, and I was just I got so used to that. I should not have gotten used to that, because how many times have I seen any college quarterback at CU and any college wide receiver at CU not do those things? And it was just look how easy he just made that look. That was so easy. And then I wrote about this one, and it made me question my existence, but also in the Baylor game. Before overtime, 4 minutes left in the 4th quarter, Travis Hunter broke early from the defensive huddle, and we're watching the TV timeout. There's 30 seconds left. The rest of the defense comes, but Travis Hunter's dancing the entire time before the TV timeout ends. And I was just it just blew my mind, because that game was long and fast. There was a lot of snaps, and there was it was long game time. That was his 120th snap of the game, and it was I just couldn't comprehend how this guy was dancing, how he was like still that energetic and that like positive, and like it just blew my mind. It really, like, I've never seen anyone do that. I never will see anyone else do that on their 120th snap. And it really, it just made me feel like he's doing exactly what he was born to do. Like this is just breathing to him, and it made me think, like, what can I find that makes me feel like that? Like, what can I do that makes me feel like that? Because it just he just makes it look effortless when it's so obvious to see the effort that goes in. So that's mine, is the Baylor TV timeout. Such a hipster answer.
It's a very Ralphie Report answer. Very Ralphie Report answer.
I like
Anything
that.
else before we move on to transfer portal stuff?
Nope. I think we
No. We
Well,
hit it.
to finish out the accolades, Travis Hunter did just get
Oh,
unanimous
true.
All-American honors today. So he's the 6th unanimous All-American in CU history. Also, a reason that he's a Heisman, he got All-American from some people as a cornerback, from some people as a wide receiver, and from some people as all-purpose. So he's officially designated as a unanimous all-purpose All-American. But the fact that he's first-team All-American and wide receiver and defensive back, depending on who you ask, tells you everything you need to know, in my opinion. So yeah, he's gonna bring home. That's his. I think it's gonna be his 8th official like record in Legacy Hall this year. So I think that officially breaks his tie with Manti Te'o for most awards to any single player in college football history. But yeah, he's a unanimous All-American today.
Big deal. What else? Ronnie Lott, Impact Trophy, Bolitnikov,
Bednarik.
Bednarik,
Paul
Hornung, Walter Camp.
Yep.
What else am I missing?
Heisman.
Oh, well, we just spent 20 minutes talking about the Heisman. Of course, I didn't miss the Heisman.
His 8.
Oh.
But yes, yeah, and then he had he just got Sporting News Player of the Year today too.
Mm-hmm. And AP Player of the Year, Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year.
And co-offensive player of the year, right? Or no, it was Scatterby was offensive?
No, it was just Shador was offensive player of the year. We're just like not even talking about Shador. We have like 2nd-team All-American quarterback, like winner of the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm, and it's just like it's like an afterthought. Like, isn't that crazy?
Poor him. It is insane that, like, yeah, no one talks about him because Travis Hunter's right there too. But also, that's what he wants. That's what he wanted. Yeah, he was at New York. It is insane. He was 8th in voting. Probably should have been higher, but you can't put 2 on the same team in the top 4. I get it. Yeah, it is safe. It is crazy. I mean, he's the greatest thrower of the ball in CU history.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yep.
I don't know. Special team, man. Special team. Transfer portal, right?
Yeah, so we'll soak it up before we get into, because now once we get into transfer portal, mentally I go into 2025 now. It's the team's gone. They all disappeared. Everyone who went to the draft doesn't exist anymore, and now we move forward, right?
Yeah. We can have a moment of silence. Yeah, I mean, busy first portal period. Got a bunch of very key players and plugged some pretty key holes from this team, especially at the positions that were most needed, aka kicker, safety, tight end. Got some defensive line, some nice defensive line pieces, some linebacker pieces. Not all holes are filled. But Jack, can you walk us through and break us down every buff we should know about that's come in, and I can help out. Oh, you're muted.
Whoops. Yeah, I can. Yeah, so a lot of people leaving this year. Probably should be less than the last 2 years. But we're at a high bar. Yeah, so I think in this first go round, we'll start with some of the smaller known, I think, players first. So we have Seatbelt coming in from Oklahoma, Makari Vickers. Top 75 out of high school. Didn't really play much this year after a DUI in the off season at Oklahoma. Transferred. It seemed like that one was pretty. There was not a lot of other visits being considered. So he should immediately come in as a kind of a tweener. Looks like he's like a safety or a boundary corner, depending on who you ask. So that's one guy coming in. Reggie Hughes from Jacksonville State is going to immediately play in the linebacking core. He had 80 tackles last year. He had 4 sacks last year. He was at Ole Miss the 2 years before Jacksonville State. Rich Rod gets hired at West Virginia. He entered the transfer portal, had some pretty big competition, but he ended up signing at CU. Also, first team off the bus guy. Like, he's going to immediately replace Nakai Hill-Green's guns, if nothing else. That dude's ripped. You have... also, on the defensive side of the ball, you have Gabriel Lightfoot coming in from Fresno State, who's a 6'3"-ish, 300-pound guy at defensive tackle. He's played a bunch of games. I'm thinking of this as another Fresno State Bulldog that came in Deion Sanders' first year. Kind of a Leonard Payne sighting. You're going to see him 20 snaps a game, 30 snaps a game, and he's big, and he can move. So, not bad to be those two things. And Leonard Payne made an NFL roster, never forget. So... would not be bad if that happened for CU again. Then I think I'm trying to remember if we have anyone else on the defensive side. I'll just stick to the big guy.
Jaheim Otis.
Yeah. So Jaheim Otis. I was gonna wait for him at the end, but I would argue this is probably CU's like third biggest or most public transfer portal signing ever, including Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. He's like behind those two, in my opinion. In terms of when he committed. Everyone wanted him. Number 1 defensive lineman in the portal. And CU beat everyone else out. He specifically cited Warren Sapp as a reason why, so that hire just paid for itself no matter what. Otis is like the dude. If you make a creative player and you want to run stuffing defensive tackle, you just make this guy. He's 6'5". He's 375 pounds to 330 pounds, depending on what time of year it is. He should be around 340 when he comes into CU. Doesn't look like he's 340 pounds. He wears it incredibly well. He's quick. He's incredibly strong. He knows his role. He knows how to plug gaps. He's a dude that started for Alabama as a freshman at defensive line. What else do you need, man? Like, that dude is legit. Didn't play that much this year because of disciplinary reasons, and also just because the coaching changed too. So he comes to CU, and he's going to. Yeah, he's a linchpin of the defense. He's, I think, immediately the best player on the defense. It's either him or one of the boundary corners. So yeah, he's good.
Very good. Offensive players. Zach Atkins, right? The tight end from Northwest Missouri State.
Yep.
That's one of the better. He's one of the better tight ends in the portal. I think he's rated as a 3-star. I think he was the 12th best tight end in the portal in this first wave, at least. Just bringing in a tight end at this point in time is a pretty big deal after having no tight ends for a full year and having to run 4 wide receiver sets every single play. So that kind of provides a lot more opportunities to the offense and being able to run different kinds of personnel. And then,
I mean, I'm excited about Caden Salter.
That's where I was going.
Obviously, there's a lot of conversations about quarterback recently, but I think with how young Juju is coming into CU at 17 years old, you want to have another guy that you feel confident in. And you don't want him to be a B-tier option. You want someone that's going to go in there and compete with Juju and actually give him a run for his money. And like they say, iron sharpens iron. He's the real deal. I mean, last 2 years at Liberty, he put his stats together, 47 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Dude's at 60% completion rating and an interception percentage right around 2%. Protects the ball like Shedeur. I think that's a great signing.
Check his fumble percentage.
Protects the ball in the air. But
yeah, that's probably more fair. Yeah, I have a bunch of thoughts on Salter. I don't want to skip the line though. If we're structuring the defensive guys, I think he's easily the marquee signing so far on the offensive side of the ball. So we can save him last like Otis too, if we want. I think Atkins. I also wanted. I'm just gonna completely throw a wrench. Let's go off track. Ryland, you were at the press conference for the Alamo Bowl where it was Livingston, Coach Prime, and Shermer.
Yep.
It's interesting that you mentioned the 10 personnel because the way he answered the question about schemes and what he might change next year, stuff like that. It to me it sounded like he had to learn 10 personnel this year, and maybe that was because there was no tight end there. My theory, which has been my theory all year, is that it's because Shedeur Sanders wants to run 10 personnel, and that was a very cooperative relationship. This was not Shermer dictating what Shedeur was going to run. The reason Shermer got hired is because he was going to run what Shedeur wants to run, in my opinion. So I think that we ran 10 personnel because it worked with what Shedeur wants. And I think that's why Shermer has a job right now, is because he's going to work with whatever the quarterback's comfortable with. I don't think that means it's going to be 10 personnel next year, even if we don't have a tight end. Like, I think it's really entirely dependent on what Salter or Juju Lewis is most comfortable with, which to me is pretty exciting because I prefer a more multiple look if possible, and having someone like Atkins is really helpful to that just because he is an inline tight end. That's what he is. He's not going to be a Shimon Mateer who was signed and then transferred out. He's not going to be a Sadie Trior. He's not a receiver first. Like, he's going to block. He can't catch. He's going to block, though. And having someone, an option like that, lets you get a lot more multiple, I think. I don't know. That's my diversion. That's the way I heard it when Shermer answered that question. I don't know how you heard it, Ryland.
Yeah, that's how I heard it, too. Yeah, I think you're spot on with the assessment of it being a very cooperative relationship between him and Shedeur. I think that it was Dion has spoken a lot about how good of a relationship they have and how good they work together. So I think that there was a lot of it wasn't the OC telling the quarterback what to do. It was a little mix of both. Yeah. And without going too in depth and getting myself in trouble, that's that's what I'll say.
Yeah, that was my diversion. You can go through some of those other offensive transfers, Ryland.
Gosh, off the top of my head, who are the line transfers? I'm trying to.
Well, so there's a list. We can just look at a list.
Yeah, what's the list?
Yeah, so. Well, we have the guy who came in immediately from ULM. So that's going to be Carter Miller. He's going to play guard or center. Ole Miss called him the day he committed, so that's a big one to get in. That's the only line transfer right now. There's some other guys that just went off the board for CU that seem like fits. Josh Bates is from Colorado, transferring from Oklahoma. He went to SMU. And then Jordan White played with Caden Salter at Liberty. He went to, where did he just go? I think Vanderbilt, somewhere. So it's just Carter Miller. The three offensive guys you have, depending on how you count, in my opinion, the most important signing so far, are Carter Miller, Caden Salter, and Zach Atkins. If you want to count kickers, then we also
I was
gonna
say we can't forget the kicker because that's actually kind of a big deal. It was pretty sad watching like the crowd cheer every time he kicked the touchback because it happened once every other game. That's not going to be a problem anymore. Buck Buchanan, kicker from Louisiana Tech, touchback machine, kickoff specialists, big hole fill, just straight up. So that's pretty good.
Do you want to guess how many touchbacks, or what his percentage of touchbacks were in his 2 years kicking?
It's got to be over 90.
99.
Okay, well, no, you guys are crazy. No, it's 84%, dude. No one's gonna have 99. Sometimes you want someone to return it if they don't have a good return game.
I wanted to say it was like 100 touchbacks to like
I believe it's
One-
51 out of 57 kickoffs or something like that.
Okay.
Which is maybe a more impressive number. But like, yeah, dude, that alone, I love it because Deion Sanders just said we're gonna find someone who can kick the ball in the end zone, and then the whole all call was which kicker can kick the ball in the end zone the most. I think he's like 70% on field goals. He's not that accurate on field goals, but that's not what he's here for, man.
No, they're gonna have Mata kicking.
Yeah.
He has multiple 55-yard plus field goals though. I think he has one from 55 and one from 57 this year.
Buck Buchanan's
Like, if
got
they
a
need
leg,
to-
dude. Buck Buchanan's got
I
a
know
leg.
if they need somebody to kick from 50 plus, like you have an option now because there's no way Mata's gonna be able to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I do want to go back to what Jake said about Caden Salter. I mean, I get excited theoretically. I think his last 2 years of Liberty, his junior or 2 years ago, his sophomore year, retro sophomore year was incredible.
Yes.
And that at Liberty, his head coach is Jamie Chadwell. Jamie Chadwell runs an incredibly quarterback-friendly offense, especially if you're a quarterback that can run. It's a really fun offense to look at. They were magic together 2 years ago. Salter wanted to run less this year, so his numbers dipped drastically in both the run and pass. Like it seems like he needs the running threat to unlock everything for him. He was much less efficient this year than last year, and that's part of the reason he's in the transfer portal, right? However, the fact that he did his junior year was insane. He was 32 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. I think of those 3,200, 1,100 were rushing, which is exciting too. He is going to push Juju Lewis. This is not a hand the job to someone, right? Like those two are absolutely going to push each other, which is what you want, right? I think what that tells us is no matter what, CU's going to have a pretty solid option when it comes to playing Georgia Tech in August next year. Who knows what that guy's name is, but like at the end of the day, Juju Lewis had to have signed off on this. This is not a surprise to him, and the fact that they both want to compete for the job is a sign of the culture that's here. And I think like big picture is really good. Like even if I'm not like sold that Salter can recapture the magic, it's really good.
100%. More options is good. Competition is good. Yeah.
And also, I mean, longtime listeners of me will tell you, dude, running quarterbacks are just more fun. Like, I just want a running quarterback. That would be super awesome. If it's Bernard Jackson, 2007, shout out, Colorado Buffaloes. That's too bad, but it's still fun. Salter can like absolutely move, and if he's willing to run the ball a little bit, if that ends up being the Shermer offense, that's sweet. Then you definitely need a tight end. But if we're running a little bit of RPO, but full run option RPO, that's what a dream that would be.
That'd be pretty sweet. Yeah. What other needs do we need in the portal? Well, obviously safety. That's
number one.
biggest probably hole to fill. Vickers fills one slot. We probably need 3 or 4 more.
No. I do not think that Vickers should be counted on as a safety that ever plays a snap.
Okay.
I think he's kind of like a tweener. They're trying to figure out like kind of a Carter Stoutmeyer thing that happened.
Okay, I will say he's listed as a safe, or he's listed as a corner on CU's post.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go. Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
Which is how Stoutmeyer started too. That's more where I would put him probably.
Okay.
So that is a massive. Like you got to get a bunch of people in that one. The guy I wanted is C.J. Hurd, who's a freshman from FIU last year. He just committed to Georgia Tech, or Virginia Tech, excuse me. So not that guy, which is too bad. There are some people who just entered the portal that would be really fun, but that's a huge need. I'll just mention their names. Why not? Jalen Catalon is playing his 6th season of college football. He went from Texas to Arkansas to UNLV. He started last year at UNLV. He's really good. He's going to play in the NFL. Would be cool. And then Wisconsin's starting safety, Xavier Jones, just entered the portal. That guy's really good. But he's going to command a huge price tag. And I'm blanking on the name right now, but Baylor's starting strong safety also just entered the transfer portal today. And that guy did really well against us, and I'm forgetting his name, which is how you know how well he did. Whoops. Oh my god, this is killing me. I have to look it up. I don't see it. This is horrible. This is horrible radio. I don't know it, but yeah, you need safeties. This is the end of the day.
Safety's most pressing. More linebackers are needed, for sure. You never have too much. Oh, what are you going to say?
Well, and what I will say is we really only used 2 linebackers most of the time because we were almost always in nickel, and then we'd sometimes throw a third or fourth guy in there, with that being Wester, or occasionally you'd see somebody else, right? And for a while there, they tried to put Trevor Woods in there before the transfer, but realistically, Levante Bentley's going to the draft, and Nakai Hill-Green's transferring out, right? So we've got one guy, and I don't know that anyone feels great about Wester, or I think maybe behind him would be Gant. I don't know if he's staying, but
Gant's out of eligibility.
Okay, so you've really only got, now with the transfer linebacker, we've only got 2 linebackers on the roster. So yeah, we need a couple more there.
Yeah, Hughes is a big get. That's a plug and play, more or less. Keaton Wade, for sure, that's going to be something to look at. Jeremiah Brown withdrawing from the portal is also helpful. But you're going to need a couple more guys for sure.
I'll just say I don't think any of these guys can replace Hill Green outright.
No,
I don't know if you even want to. But see, you got super lucky that Bentley and Hill Green were healthy all year, because, like Jake said, we only played pretty much those 2. Like, there wasn't a lot else that we needed to do. Thankfully, I'm not betting on that next year.
No.
So CU needs numbers badly. That position is, I don't know. I don't trust a lot of the recruiting in that position because it's been not the best since Coach Hart has joined. It wasn't good before Coach Hart joined either. It's gotten better, but Hill Green was a really good find. They need other dudes that are vets for the middle of that defense, because it's not, people don't talk about it, but with helmet comms, you need someone who can navigate pretty quickly. And we saw how horrible that went when Silman Craig went down against North Dakota State. He's not here anymore, man. Like, Silman Craig and Hill Green had the helmet radios. They're both gone. So, like, I don't know. We got to find someone who can get that helmet radio in. And I would like that to be a higher level player than I don't trust someone like Jeremiah Brown to step up into that, like, 1-to-1.
Yeah, I don't think you can. There is no just straight up replacing Cam and Nakai Hill-Green, but I mean, you're gonna have to find a solution, and that's where depth is pivotal. Just bring in a bunch of guys and throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. That's kind of what's been done before, and I don't anticipate that to change. You know, they're gonna bring in more guys up front, both in the offensive line and defensive line. Obviously, receivers are going to need to be brought in. Has Kevin Concepcion committed yet, or is that still on the table? Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, he visited Miami next, and then I think his A&M left.
Okay.
But yeah, he has not committed anywhere yet. The Baylor defensive back, by the way, is Corey Gordon Jr. Finally got it.
There we go.
Yeah, I think, it's interesting you say that. It's going to be a weird recalibration for me because the first year CU just got 1 million new players, and it was exciting because I didn't want to see the old players play again in 2023 with Deion Sanders. And this portal is exciting because CU got a lot of, like, what looked like starters. It was a clear step up, right? You're going from someone named Kari Maines, who's coming from Maine, and then transferring out to someone like Deion Hayes, who's coming from Pittsburgh and started, and also is transferring out. And also, shout out Kari Mans for making all conference at JMU, 10 sacks this year. I think it's got to have to be a recalibration because CU is replacing a bunch still. It's like 30 open scullies at least. But it's not going to be the same fire drill it has been the last 2 years. And also, CU can afford to be pretty picky. I don't know, and I don't know what it's going to look like. Right now, I'm slightly disappointed because my expectations were insane, but this is Deion Sanders recruiting off of a potentially 10-win season and a Heisman. It's Deion Sanders recruiting off of a potentially 10-win season and a Heisman. I think CU's going to be just fine. with some of those dudes. So you say like you can't replace Cam Simlin-Craig, and there's a lot like of intangibles you can't really replace with that dude. He's amazing, but also I think CU should absolutely be able to replace a 5'11", 180-pound safety with the amount like what we're recruiting off of. Yeah, we should. I just think back to like 2016. Mike McIntyre wins 10 games, and that was a disappointing class the year after because McIntyre's not a great recruiter. But also that class the year after, it was just so much easier to get in everyone's doors, right? That class got Will Sherman and LaVisca Chenault and Katie Nixon and like all these dudes that CU couldn't touch because we were recruiting off of wins. And that's Mike McIntyre doing that. Like I think Deion Sanders is going to do just fine.
Yeah. Well,
Definitely.
we talked about the defense. What about offensively? I mean, I think everyone is probably feeling okay with the offensive line. Maybe we're missing a couple pieces, but that's one of the few positions this year where we were young. With, obviously I think Cash Cleveland's probably going to plan to start there. He was getting more reps at the end of the year. And then Jordan Seaton at left tackle is going to be a staple. Where else
Hopefully
outside
he
of...
stays.
Dude, the
hoping
juju
he
that you
stays.
just put... Why would you even put that out there into the universe, man?
I don't
No,
know,
but
man.
I don't.
I'm a doomer.
I don't entirely disagree, but I do think that the IMG ties are pretty.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna keep pushing for IMG players. I think Seaton's gonna stay as long as we're recruiting IMG guys.
He's gonna stay, man. What are you talking about? He's getting paid very handsomely.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know. But it's also like we're talking about one of the best young offensive linemen in the country at Colorado. Like he's going to get offered money everywhere. I think he's going to stay. But that's an anxiety that is for sure had.
Here, before John kills us, I'm about to go into a rant, and this is a great time. For an ad break.
We'll take an ad break.
Let's do an ad break, and then I'm just gonna roll right into a rant about, I guess CU and the transfer portal. So, listen to some ads.
Boom.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, we're back. So Jordan Seaton, we can talk about him potentially leaving, whatever. I think there's no shot he's gonna leave, and I think. Let's take a great example. Caden Salter we were not the only team that offered him. He had some really good visits, right? Syracuse just won 9 games with Fran Brown in his first year with Kyle McCord at quarterback, who's now gone, right? Caden Salter's going to visit Syracuse. That's a really good situation for a quarterback. I don't know who's going to be, but it's a good situation for a quarterback. Established winner, momentum with Fran Brown. They pay money. ACC's pretty soft, has a nice underbelly, just like Big 12. Kyle McCord had a really good year statistically, so the offense looks to be pretty quarterback friendly. That's an enticing option, right? And he doesn't have to compete with the 5-star hyped up true freshman coming in. So why would Salter pick CU over Syracuse? This is kind of rhetorical, but I'm also just asking. Why do you guys think Salter would pick CU over Syracuse?
You're not getting eyes at Syracuse. You're not going to get the eyes that you get at CU at Syracuse. And CU is way flashier. If you want to build a brand, this is where you come. Simply put. That's why you do it. And, the roster here has the potential to have some higher caliber talent than probably at Syracuse.
Has the potential, yeah. Yeah, I think... it's pure speculation for all of us because we don't know crap. But I think, realistically, I think Salter thinks he can win the job with Juju being as young as he is. If this was, is it Bryce Underwood? If this was Bryce Underwood, right, you wouldn't touch Colorado with a 30-foot pole. I think he views it as a situation he can come into and win. Because it's his senior year, it's his last year of eligibility. If he didn't think he could come in and play football, I don't think he'd be here.
Yeah, I think you guys both just nailed it. I think the reason that you come to CU instead of Syracuse in a situation like this, if you're Caden Salter or any player, is because I don't think there's a single better position to be in money-wise in college football than a star player at Colorado right now. I think starters elsewhere absolutely get paid more. I think there's more free money laying around at other programs. But no player is going to have more visibility than a star at the University of Colorado, in my opinion. I think Deion Sanders has access to doors that no one else has access to. Maybe USC, just because of where they are, right? That's why Jakeem Stewart signed there, is because he can literally partner with Marvel over the Thanos thing, right? Like, yeah, that's pretty unique. But CU has that prime effect that's real. There are just things that you have access to that no one else does because Deion Sanders is your head coach. And Seton is going to stay for that reason. He is already a star. He committed on Undisputed, dude. Like,
Yeah.
that stuff doesn't exist elsewhere. Yeah, I guess Belichick's on the McAfee show, but, like, are we really going to say that Belichick has the charisma that Deion Sanders has? He has the rings. He has the rings that Deion Sanders does not have.
He just talks like this
But, like,
on the Pat McAfee show.
Deion Sanders knows how to promote, and if you are a star, you are going to get promoted, and that's why I think Salter came here, and Seton's going to stay, and star players are going to give it a look, because if Salter does end up winning the starting job, oh my God, yeah, the potential is way higher than the starting job at Syracuse or any team outside of the gigantic teams, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why I think he did it, is because the potential is massive for any star with CU in the transfer portal. And I just hope that pays off, I guess, with some more splashy names. We'll see.
It's all a good point.
I think, at least in Salter's case, I think this is kind of a gamble. Like, it is surprising, and I think Jack brings up a good point that at Syracuse he might have more security as a starting quarterback and a program that's probably going to win some football games next year. But CU, I mean, there's a lot, like, with half of your team almost being seniors who have now left. Super bold decision, 5-star quarterback coming in. Salter is a gambler, and he's, he wants to promote his brand, and he's gambling on himself. And I think it's an awesome signing, and I think it could prove to be one of the better portal signings if he ends up being needed. Maybe we won't even see Salter next year, but
maybe we do that cool Penn State thing where, like, it was Bo Parabola and Aller on at the same time.
If we do that, we're in trouble, I think.
Also, a small connection is Salter and Amari McNeil at Tennessee at the same time. So, here's a fun fact.
I forgot Salter was at Tennessee for a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't even know where we started on this. Wide receivers are obviously a massive need. CU's losing 4 incredible wideouts. You got dudes I believe in that are already here. I believe in Amarian Miller. I believe in Draylon Miller. They're both going to be impact players in the Big 12, above average starters for sure. I want more. I am not sated with that. I would like more. I want an established killer in the slot like Wester again. I don't think that exists on the current roster. I would like that to exist. So not for nothing. I think a great fit there is Zakaria Branch. So would be sweet. But yeah, I want a killer slot guy. I want another red zone guy like Shepard. I want more.
Yeah, I could not agree with Jack more. Wide receiver's been a big concern for me for a while now. I talked about this a couple months ago, but losing 4 senior receivers looks bad, and we're all optimistic about Amarian Miller. But I think we all can be realistic about Draylon Miller in the sense that he is kind of that hybrid role. He isn't a true outside receiver, at least not now. And honestly, that's not his body type. I mean, when you watch him play, he's a phenomenal receiver, and I think there's a lot of hype surrounding Draylon Miller, but he caught 2 seam routes. Route running, hands, all that kind of stuff is not his strong suit. He's a big body. He can do a lot of different stuff on the offense, but he's not. I wouldn't feel comfortable betting on Draylon Miller as an actual outside receiving option. But Marion Miller, top tier guy. But you want to get a couple more guys who are true receivers, because as Dion said last week of the season, Draylon Miller's sort of a Deebo Samuel-esque hybrid guy who you can't lean on all the time in the passing game, and who might be in the backfield at times. So we need a slot guy. We need a red zone guy. Jack's exactly on point. And I think, Ryland, you think that we need some running backs, right?
If things stay as they are, I think we're fine. If Augusta and Welch stay.
And Hayden, who has not
Hayden
supported yet.
Yeah, and Hayden, we're in good shape. I mean, it wouldn't hurt to bring in 1 or 2 running backs and kind of see. what the situation is. Is Charlie out of eligibility, or does he have another year?
I think he's got a year.
I
I
thought
thought
he
he,
did.
I thought he walked. Didn't he walk in Oklahoma State for senior day, or did I make that up?
Let's look.
I
I'm
don't
looking it up.
remember.
Yeah, I would also like. I mean, just like all of this stuff, I really just want a killer. I just want a cherry on top. Like I think
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy with CU's depth now in a lot of positions. Credits Deion Sanders for that. But let's take an example like pass rusher, right? Like CU brought in Deion Hayes, Okumola, BJ Green this year, and like that's what a rotation. You lose Deion Hayes, BJ Green. I am. It's really hard to say that Arden Walker and Keaton Wade aren't good. They're both incredible players. Like they're both really good. But maybe I'm just greedy, where I'm just like, ooh, I want like the one, I want like that BJ Green dude who's just like going to set the edge. Like I want that one guy in the portal. But so does everyone, right? That's what makes it so hard. So, I don't know. With Texas Tech opening up the money bags, Big 12 is pretty competitive in the portal right now. Texas Tech's class, I think, is the best in the country right now. It just might be harder. It just might be more competitive this year for some of these guys. But I think in terms of needs, you need safeties, you need wide receivers. Everything else is kind of like you can get by, but you need safeties, you need wide receivers.
Yeah.
Charlie
Kevin
Offerdahl.
Concepcion would be a nice snag.
Yeah, Charlie Offerdahl is a junior, so he's got a year of eligibility.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Okay.
I hope not
That's what I
that does
thought.
not factor into any decision that we make about recruiting a
No.
running back.
That was just more of a rhetorical question.
Right.
But yeah, running back would be nice. Alamo Bowl time.
Sure, let's do it.
Let's do it. I don't know. We're at an hour. You probably can do more of a bigger picture preview. But December 28th, 5:30 p.m. local or mountain time. CU will kick off at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio against BYU for the Alamo Bowl. This will be CU's fourth Alamo Bowl appearance. They're 0-3 in their previous Alamo Bowl appearances. 2 of them have been in the last 10 years, and both of them have been games to forget. For Colorado fans, they'll get another chance now against a BYU team that also finished tied first in the Big 12. CU, I'm not super sure, but they were 2.5-point favorites to open. I'm not super sure how that line has shifted. It could have shifted a lot. It could have not shifted.
It's at 4.5 right now, I believe.
4.5? Okay. CU is expecting to play Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter. Big guns are going to come out and play. And I think BYU will be doing the same. It'll be a fun game. It's a interesting game because you're playing a conference opponent in a bowl game.
Yeah.
Which adds a whole new weird twist.
It's so lame,
yeah,
dude.
I know.
Yeah,
well, at least we didn't play them during the regular season.
It's
Are we
the
playing
losers
next year?
bracket. Yeah, it's the losers
Yeah.
bracket for the Big 12 is
Yeah.
what it is.
It
And
really
doesn't-
This
is.
is the
Doesn't
fantasy
feel good.
football like third place game.
Yeah,
Um,
to me it doesn't feel good. I'd rather like people were like talking about obviously Miami out that game, and that could never have happened. But gosh, you just wish it was someone slightly different.
Yeah, it's just it just is less exciting. I don't know. It's a
Well-
familiar foe. It's still going to be a fun game, whatever. And
It's no
and
Texas.
They have a huge fan base too, so it's not like there's going to be no juice in there. But yeah, just
I know it is lame. Neither of the options were good. It was BYU or Iowa State. Like of
For the
the
Alamo Bowl,
options for the Alamo Bowl, yeah. But like there was no way we weren't going to go to the Alamo Bowl.
right.
That was not a possibility.
Yeah,
Even if Arizona State would have lost the Big 12 championship, we would have got picked
right.
for viewership. There was a 0% chance we were going to play in the Holiday Bowl from the get-go, which is lame. Maybe after next year we can do some Pop-Tart Bowl shenanigans. That'd be pretty sweet. But yeah, not to get too distracted. I like us in this matchup.
I like you too, man.
I like CU. in the matchup against BYU. BYU, the question that was asked by me and a lot of other people this season is, what is BYU good at? And it's hard to answer, but an equally hard question to answer is, what is BYU bad at? Like, BYU is you know your answer? Answer.
I think they're good at winning.
Yeah.
That's their skill, man. It's weird.
Yeah, that's all they're good at. It's just winning.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Like it's like you said. What are they bad? Do they have any glaring weaknesses?
No, it's just a really fundamentally sound football team from top of the roster to the bottom. Yeah. It's like they have enough in every position group to win football games. That's what they have. The only really position group that I think is really strong is probably the defensive line with like Tyler Batty. And their receivers, they have some pretty explosive receivers. Like Parker Kingston can cause some damage, and so can Darius Lassiter. But like Retzlaff can kind of have the juice sometimes. It's like it's not Colorado.
He's a gamer, man. He's a gamer.
He's fun, dude. Retzlaff is fun, but he's not a game changer. He's a gamer, but not a game changer.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. You saw the limitations the last few weeks of the season, man.
Yes.
They also, I will say, they seem to be relatively well coached. From my experience watching BYU games, they seem to kind of react quickly to plays that kind of play out in front of them and changes that happen, and they seem to wrap up and make the right play. And like you guys said, there's no glaring holes on this team. It's they're mentally sharp and they've got some depth at each position. So, but without having any star players, like it's an interesting matchup because CU at times is like Shador and it can be the Shador and Travis show. So Shador and Travis both play. I mean, I think we're all probably in the boat that we win this game. And I could be wrong on that, but I think if Shador and Travis both play, I think we. But and something Ryland and I sort of talked about before we started the pod, Jack, that I'd like to get your input on is, will Travis Hunter play 120, 130 snaps if he does play?
If I'm Travis Hunter's agent, I don't even let him get into Texas. So you don't ask me, man. I think he's gonna say yes. Like that's who he is. It's weird. There's the age-old BYU equation thing too, right? They are older than every other team in the country. That's just a fact. They are older. Their mission stuff makes it weird, where they have a bunch of 24-year-olds that are juniors. Like they did all the weird Diego Pavia extra eligibility stuff before anyone else did. The other BYU thing that's been true across multiple coaches is, without being too inflammatory, they have been known to do some after the play extracurriculars. So I get worried. I would not let Travis do it because I don't know. That's a reputation that's earned. So like, I don't know. That freaks me out. If Shador gets hit and maybe Tyler Batty just stays on top of him a little bit longer, or like gives him a little shove at the end too. I don't know, man. I don't think Sataki is as bad as some of those Bronco Mendenhall BYU teams, but reputation's still there. So like, yeah. I don't know. They're older. They're bigger. So they are tough. They are a mean team. I don't let Travis Hunter play. I let him play like the first half. But
yeah, I couldn't agree more. That's what Ryland and I talked about before we came on air. And maybe Ryland disagrees. But if I'm Travis Hunter, I'm not playing. And if I am playing, I'm surely not playing 120 snaps. Mm-hmm. And like if this becomes. I don't think Dion will hesitate to pull those guys out if this game gets to be a big margin. But it's great as a Buffs fan. You love to see these guys playing. You want to see. I think it's a good thing for the culture of CU football, for your best players to play in bowl games. But also thinking with my brain, if I was those guys, I would using my brain and not going into the whole culture and CU pride and all that kind of stuff. I'm not stepping on the field. Ryland, what do you think?
For Travis, that's a definite conversation that needs to be had. what Jake and I were saying is maybe he plays 70 snaps. Maybe he only plays the first half. Maybe he only plays corner, because that's an interesting conversation to have, because apparently Amarion Miller's back. So maybe Amarion Miller fills in that role.
Well, not just Amarion Miller's back. I think they're going to force feed a different wide receiver.
I'm going to get to that too. But apparently Amarion Miller's back. Maybe Travis doesn't line up as receiver. He only plays corner, so there's no risk of him getting tackled, getting rolled up, that kind of stuff. I think Shador is going to play 100 million %. He's going to want to be the one that throws the ball to the receiver so they can put up a little bit of extra tape before the draft.
Yeah.
He's the kind of guy who would be very happy and want to do that. Okay, getting to the Jimmy Horn thing. That's going to be the objective of this game for the offense. Put Jimmy Horn film on tape. Jimmy is obviously a very big part of this football team in a lot of ways, and he's a very big part of like Deion Sanders' life in Boulder. There's a lot of incentive to get Jimmy Horn drafted. And after missing, how many games did he miss? 4 games at the end of the season?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're gonna feed Jimmy. Like, I would expect some North Dakota State-esque antics, just finding ways to get Jimmy the football. And that'll be fun. And he will be able to get open. It's Jimmy Horn. He's like one of the fastest dudes on the field, if not for LeJontay Wester. 1,000,000%, yeah.
Yeah. I'm for it, man. Get him 20 touches,
totally
dude.
For it.
Yeah, go for it.
Jimmy's fun.
And also Livingston said that some redshirt freshmen and some redshirts, or some just true freshmen, are going to play sparingly in this game. So I'm excited to see some of those dudes.
Situationally.
I think that we're going to see a lot of Isaiah Harge just because I think the staff loves him. So maybe that's our running back next year, man. I don't know. They like him out there. It'll be fun to see some of those those dudes that we didn't get to see that much of this year come back out. And also, I think they're going to force feed Jimmy Horn and Will Shepherd as much as possible. I think Wester has a pretty good setup already, but maybe it's all three.
Yeah. Will Shepherd also has pretty good, more or less. Will Shepherd has a good amount of tape. Yeah, it's going to be the Jimmy Horn show. And I'm super, super down and super okay with that.
Yep. Yeah, I think, give me 1 second to go into BYU. There was a podcast. We did a bunch of podcasts after Carl Durrell was fired, and I threw a bunch of names at the wall for coaches. Bronco Mendenhall came up before. He was a name I looked at CU 2 years ago. The new Utah State head coach. Shout out Bronco Mendenhall. There's another name that was one of my under the radar names that is going to be in this game. I think Jay Hill is my favorite defensive coordinator in the country, and he has been for a long time. So Jay Hill is BYU's defensive coordinator. He was a head coach at Weber State before that. Weber State's an FCS school. They play in the Big Sky, which is, in my opinion, the best FCS conference to follow. It's incredibly fun. Montana State, Weber State, Sac State.
A big fun conference.
A big fun conference. Brennan Marion at Sac State now.
Good for him.
But Weber State, for years under Jay Hill, averaged less than 10 points given up per game. Like, they were mean, dude. They were mean. And BYU follows that here. He's a Whittingham acolyte, so it's the same annoying-ass Whittingham defense where it's like, why are there no yards to get? How do you guys keep getting to this ball so fast? Like, it's just frustrating because you don't expect it. Like, that's not usually how defenses win, but it's just like pure, I don't even know what you call that. They're all super smart. They're always around the ball, so nothing kills them. And it just sucks to play against.
Yeah, I mean, when Jake and I sat down and we watched that Utah BYU game, and I remember your choice of words was very intentional when you were talking about BYU's corners. You called them very intuitive. Do you wanna elaborate on the intuitive corners at BYU?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because Utah's offense in that Utah BYU game was obviously pretty limited. It was a low-scoring game. There was a lot of screens, a lot of short throws. Ball came out of the quarterback's hands super quick in that game, and I remember thinking those BYU corners left nothing left. There was no yards on the field unless you want to break a tackle or two.
Yeah.
There's no yards there, and so they were throwing screens. They were getting bodies outside, and the corners were just all over it. So they weren't getting beat over the top, and they were coming down and making plays in the backfield. In zone coverage, in drop zone coverage, they were able to come up and make plays. It seems like BYU's defense is allowed to play with a little bit of intuition. They're allowed to go. They're allowed to crash the ball if they need. And there's a lot of trust from that coaching staff, it seems, to the BYU secondary. And so I really enjoyed watching them in that Utah game. I thought, wow, this defense plays with a lot of momentum. They've got some good bodies, physicality. The corners are long, lengthy. Ultimately, like we've talked about, they don't necessarily have that star power anywhere. They've got a couple star players across that roster, but they're a consistent team, and they're going to be tough to beat, regardless of how CU plays this and regardless of who actually plays in the game. They'd be tough to beat. They would have been tough to beat any week of the season.
1,000,000% yes. I think that's all I really have for Alamo Bowl preview. We're a little far out, so it's hard to really get a full grasp on the game just because we don't know who's really hitting the portal yet on either team, or I guess the portal hasn't closed, so there's a lot of possibility for moving and changing. We don't know who's opting out on BYU's end fully, so there's just a lot of uncertainty. But as things are now, I would say they look good for Colorado. Anything else that people want to add before we shift gears?
Nope.
No. Cool. Maybe we could do a more in-depth BYU Alamo Bowl preview next week, but that can be discussed later. And I don't think we have pick'em to do, or I guess we could do college football playoff pick'em. Do we want to do that? Or just for
how many games do we have? Yeah,
3.
How many games do we have? Oh, just 3 games. Yeah, let's do it.
3
That's
tomorrow,
quick.
3 Saturday, right?
Yeah, that should be right. I think 6 games.
Yeah, I think there's one tomorrow night, 2 Saturday.
No, there's 3 Saturday. I guarantee you there's 3 Saturday.
Well, here, let's see.
Believe it or not, I think Ryland's right.
No.
I was on Jack's side too. 1 Friday, 3 Saturday.
But there's 3 on Saturday.
3 on Saturday, yeah, but
so
only
I'm right.
1
Okay, yes,
Friday.
Jack was right. Jack was right.
4 games. So Jack was right about part. Ryland was right about part. Because Ryland was kind of right.
Well, I forgot about
3 games.
So
I forgot about the Texas. Tomorrow night is Indiana
Notre Dame.
Indiana
Okay.
Super Bowl.
I should be the running expert on this. This is the
Jake,
Indiana Bowl. But in reality, I don't know that there's a ton to talk about. I think Indiana played better than they looked against Ohio State. If you watched that game, you saw the special teams blunders. You saw them grab momentum at the start of the game. You saw them almost go up 14-0 to start the game. Indiana definitely has a shot in this game, but Notre Dame has so much momentum right now. There's a lot of people that think Notre Dame could be the best team in the country. And there's some people that think that Indiana is going to be a cakewalk for them. And they don't think that for no reason. Interesting game. I think, obviously, I've got Notre Dame here, but I think Indiana keeps it closer than people think. Go Notre Dame 30-20.
If the rumors are true, and Notre Dame is indeed wearing black jerseys, then Notre Dame wins this football game.
Dude, oh my God! Of course they are. Of course they are.
I know they're gonna debut jerseys in the college football playoff. If they're wearing black, I know I don't like Notre Dame either, but if they wear black jerseys, I'll say Notre Dame wins. If they don't wear black jerseys, I say Indiana wins. Indiana's a really fun team. Curtis Rourke is really, really fun. I don't know. It's just the last time I really watched Notre Dame football was that NIU game, so I'm not super duper informed on Notre Dame. And from what I have gathered, that game was kind of fluke, more or less. Riley Leonard's playing better football. I don't know. I'll go Indiana. Because that's more fun.
Indiana 10-9. Deion Figures just hit the College Football Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Deion Figures. He happened to intercept Notre Dame in 1990 to win the national championship. They lost 10-9. They're gonna do it again.
Let's do it. Okay. 10 a.m. game on Saturday is the Pony Express going up to Happy Valley, SMU at Penn State. Line is Penn State
awesome
minus 8.5.
I think it's a fun matchup, but yeah, I'm going Penn State. I'll be late.
Yep, I'm in that. I think it's Penn State easy. It's gonna snow, dude.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun to see a snowy playoff game.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I know, and it's a whiteout.
Yeah, we just said it was gonna snow.
Penn State whiteout in the snow in the playoffs.
That'll be wild. That
that'll be
is
fun.
That's must-watch TV.
I would say so. 2 p.m. game is Clemson at Texas. Line for that is Texas minus 12.
Don't watch
All right. 3,
Not a must-watch.
2, 1. Texas. I think we're all gonna pick Texas in this game, right?
Yeah.
Clemson is not that good.
This
The
is an
ACC
okay,
just
cool
bad.
hook'em game, dude. This is an okay, cool hook'em game.
Yep.
Would you and can I ask them real quick? You guys rather this be Miami or Clemson here?
Well,
Because I'd low key rather
Probably
this be
better
Miami.
for us.
what do you
Probably
asking?
better for us if it's not Miami.
I'm
I guess
asking
now that
who's the better team? Is it, like
I
you guys- I
don't
don't-
know, because Miami's defense is fucking atrocious. Like, god-awful. So Miami doesn't deserve to be there. You lose to Syracuse like that, you lose to Georgia Tech, yeah, you don't deserve to be there. Clemson probably doesn't deserve to be here either. For sure doesn't deserve to be here. But Miami doesn't deserve this any more than Clemson does. That Miami team has some very glaring holes.
Jake, I think you're asking the wrong guy. I think Miami would make this a much more fun matchup because Cam Ward can beat anyone.
Yes.
However, I am an old, cranky man, and I think that wins matter. And if you win your conference championship, that matters. And Clemson absolutely should be here over Miami because if Miami wanted to be here, they should have beat Syracuse, and they should have beat Georgia Tech.
True.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Hook 'em. Okay. This is probably the most fun game of the weekend, in my humble opinion. Is Tennessee at Ohio State. There's been some leaking, and apparently
That's not good.
Apparently, over 50% of the tickets being purchased for this game are coming from the state of Tennessee. There is a current push for Tennessee fans to invade the Horseshoe. This game has the potential to get really, really hostile from a crowd perspective really fast. If Ohio State gets off to a slow start, there's going to be a lot of Tennessee fans there. There's a lot of Ohio State fans that are really fed up with Ryan Day after that Michigan game. There's some real potential to get scary, which could get interesting. Who knows? I'm picking Tennessee because that's more fun. I think that Ryan Day doesn't have the juice. I think he's seeing demons after that game. I think they're going to let that Michigan game beat him twice.
Well,
Okay.
my brain is telling me Ohio State, but my heart's telling me Tennessee. So I like that take.
I hate both of these schools. My two questions are: is Tennessee named Oregon? No, I don't think so. And is Tennessee named Michigan?
No?
Then
It might be.
Ryan Day's gonna win. Simple as. That's all it is.
I don't know. We'll see. Big game Ryan Day.
Yeah, I might be
strike
rooting for the Meteor in this one.
I'm rooting for the Zebras. I'm rooting for the cops that pepper sprayed all the players. Okay, that one
That's
might have been
nuts.
too far. Okay,
That's nuts.
I guess last question is who's going to win the national championship? In the 12-team pool, you get to pick one team who's winning the national championship.
If someone else picks a team, do I not get to pick that team?
No,
No,
and
you
you can
can
go
pick your
first.
team.
Okay. God, I don't want anyone to do it. Maybe I am just a hater. I think, unfortunately, like the backbone of Georgia's team is that strong that they can get over. And Carson Beck going down might be a good thing. This is setting up for one of those classics. I don't want to take them though. You know what? I'll just go Texas. Whatever. I'll just go
Yeah.
Texas.
Okay.
I like
What do
the
you-
path. I think they have a nice easy path. I think that I don't know. They have the best defensive lineman in the country. The defensive line in the country. I think they have the best secondary in the country. I don't know. Texas.
Texas by a million. What do you think, Jake?
Yeah,
And why is it Indy?
you know, I think. Yeah, I'm not that delusional. Yeah, you know, I think if I had to pick three teams, super lame take here, or I like Oregon, I like Georgia, and I like Texas. Of those teams, you know, like the pure odds pick would probably be Oregon at this point, because there is some kind of turnover down in Georgia. So I'll be super lame here. I'll pick the favorite. If Jack's got Texas, give me Oregon.
Okay. I'm going with the only correct answer. In Arizona State.
God,
Just
I hope
kidding.
that would be so fun. That would be
Be
That
awesome.
would be really fun.
Fun.
Cam Scatterbo in the playoffs is awesome. Cam Scatterbo playing Texas in a playoff game is going to be so awesome because Clemson's not winning that game. My real answer is Oregon. I think that Oregon team is pretty stacked. As much as I don't like him, Dan Lanning is a good coach and has those guys raring to go. Offense, obviously really explosive. It's an Oregon offense. You got a good quarterback as always. You got good receivers. It's just a stacked team defensively. Everything you want a national championship contender to be. I think Oregon right now. Oregon was my preseason pick to win the national championship, and I am not going to stray from it. Okay. I think that's podcast. Anything
All right.
else that we didn't hit?
No. Let's do
All
another
right.
ad break. Let's do another ad break. Why not?
Ad break.
dude?
Okay,
Why
ad break.
not? Here we
All right.
go.
Cool. Well, we'll do a 30-second ad break, and then we'll be back.
Just to
All
say
right.
bye. No, we can't.
It's
No,
a
I thought about
permanent
ending it
ad
there.
break.
I thought about ending it there. Okay, real outro. A lot of fun, exciting content coming up. We're on top of the transfer portal, so be sure you're keeping up with RalphieReport.com for all of your Colorado Buffaloes news for free. Make sure you follow our Twitter at Ralphie Report. There's for sure going to be a lot of dumb stuff tweeted in the run-up to the Alamo Bowl. Make sure you're following me on Twitter at Ryland Skulls. If there is CU media availability, I am usually there asking dumb questions. So, yeah, I think that's it. Make sure you're keeping up with Ralphie Report. Never
Follow us
been a
on
better
Blue
time to
Sky.
keep up. Follow us on Blue Sky. I'm sorry. Blue Sky at Ralphie Report, too. New up-and-coming social media platform.
Yeah, follow us on Dig.
On Dig. Follow us on IRL Social. All right. No more jokes. Let's beat BYU. Maybe you'll see us here next week. Maybe you won't. If you don't, Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays. And take care. Let's go frickin' Buffs.
Let's go, Buff.